Good evening, and welcome to the public hearing for the Livingston Zoning Board of Adjustment. Today is February 25th, 2025. If you're an applicant for a D or use variance, you should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for the grant of the variance exists, and that variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning plan of the Township of Livingston. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you will require affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Other variances require a majority of 4 members to grant that variance. If you're an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have the right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If you're an objector to any type of variance that has been granted, you too may appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of the notice of decision. If you do file an appeal, I ask that you please provide a copy of your complaint to the planning administrator, Jackie Hollis. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Star Ledger and West Essex Tribune, and a copy was also posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building. In addition to having notice posted, notice of this meeting was placed on the township's website. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions or to make statements regarding each application at the appropriate time. When the time comes, if you would like to address the board, please come to the front and use the microphone so we make sure your comments or questions are part of the record. We will now call the roll. Mr. Kenya?
Okay, Mr. Kenya, yes. Sorry, Mr. Kenya, Mr. Horn? He's here, but what do we do?
He's not here right now.
Okay. Mr. Shah is not here either. Mr. Sherman?
Here. Here.
Ms. Young?
Here.
Mr. Wiseman?
Here.
Ms. Sohel?
Here.
Ms. Connors and Mr. Beer?
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Okay. Quick housekeeping. If you're here for block 1000, lot 7, 7 Locust Place, application number 2024-78-V, that has been adjourned to March, correct, Jackie? There'll be no renotice. You can come back at that time. If you're here for block 1511, lot 11, 4 Maplewood Drive, application number 2025-6-V, that also has been adjourned to March, the March meeting. So there will be no notification of that one either. Okay. We're going to go a little out of our order here. If you want to call the first one, 43 Oakwood?
Sure, so, first one, 43 Oakwood. There we go. This one was 43 Oakwood, the Maple Building. Okay. All right, so variance, the block 2902, lot 5, 43 Oakwood Avenue, application number 2024-72-V, Maple Builders LLC. Application seeks approval to construct a new single-family residence in violation of the following section: 170-87 CC3 habitable floor area ratio, 21% allowed, 33% proposed, 12% variance requested.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney Rosemary Stone Dougherty with the law firm of A.Y. Strauss at 290 West Mount Pleasant Avenue here in Livingston on behalf of the applicant, Maple Builders LLC. Just, if I may, counsel, do we have 6 voting members tonight, or is it 5 when I heard the roll call?
So just for clarity's sake, and I appreciate you asking that question for obvious reasons, we have 6 voting members for your application. So we have 2 alternates. They're serving up, and they're going to hear the matter and be able to vote on it tonight.
Okay, thank you. So with that being said, just to give the board a little bit of a roadmap, I plan on calling tonight in support of our application for a floor area ratio percentage variance. I have with me tonight our applicant's engineer, John Manello. I have our client's architect, Paulo Dantas, and I have our client's professional planner, Alexander Dougherty. So with that being said, we'd like to, council, do you swear them all in at once, or you want to swear them in individually?
Usually individually, yeah.
We do them I'm looking at the chairman because I'm sort of new to the board myself, so we kind of look at each other like that. We'll do them individually. That's the way I like to do it, so let's do that. Let's do it the way I like to do it.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
at that point, we'd like to start with our engineer first.
Okay? All right. When do we, get them over. Is that on? All right. Can you, okay, you already beat me to it. Raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm and tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay, can you do me the favor of stating and spelling your name for the record?
Sure. So legal name is Giovanni, Giovanni. Last name Manilio, Manilio.
Okay, and let's have the gentleman's qualifications on briefly.
Absolutely. Ken, by way of background, can you tell the board where you received your education and what licenses you currently hold?
Sure. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Syracuse University. I've been a licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey for 16 years, still in good standing. Testified in front of numerous boards throughout the state, and I believe I was in front of this board back in November of last year.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as expert in engineering.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you take us through what exists at the site today, please?
Sure. So I'm going to bring up, and I just want to verify what the board has as latest plans. We do have one revision on the plans dated October 14th, 2014. Just want to verify that that's what you have, and that's what's on the screen right now. And if I could zoom in. So on the plan on the left side is the existing conditions. So the site, as everybody knows, is 43 Oakwood Avenue, zoned R3. Site is rectangular in shape. It's about 50 feet wide and 200 feet deep, with a lot area of 10,000 square feet. Currently, the lot consists of a 2.5 story frame dwelling with an attached garage, a wood deck in the rear, and a wood porch in the front, and a asphalt driveway to the left side of the property. All that is being proposed to be removed as part of this application. As far as we know, there are no stormwater management measures on the site currently, and there are several pre-existing nonconformities, one being lot area. So in the zone, 15,000 square feet is required, where the lot is technically 10,000 square feet, but per the code, only the lot area within 150 feet of the front right-of-way is counted. So per the ordinance, the lot area is 7,500 square feet. A minimum front yard setback of 50 feet is required, where you could also use the established front yard setback. On this case, it is 29.6 is existing as a front yard setback, where 50 feet is required or 40 feet is permitted per code as a minimum. Additionally, there is a side yard, a pre-existing nonconformity on the left side. 10 feet is required, where a side yard setback of 5.4 feet is existing. There are no other environmental constraints on the site or easements that are known. I am going to hand out, I do have a colored exhibit. It's a new exhibit, and I'll bring it up.
We'll mark that as A1.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for the record, A1 is it a one-page?
John, what do you want to call your color exhibit, one page?
It's one page, and I believe we just call it zoning board exhibit. Very technical.
This is
Oop, sorry. So it's an exhibit showing an aerial of the general vicinity, and then it's a color rendition of the proposed layout of the site. Just give it a minute there to load, hopefully.
Let's see if you can blow that up a little bit.
Yep, so I just want to show, the surrounding area, so you can see the existing dwelling on the site and how it lays with the remaining properties on either side of it. Rather consistent. I think this is a little outdated, this map. This is state mapping from 2020, so it is probably, 4 or 5 years old at this point. But I do want to draw your attention to the center of the screen. So it's just a color rendition of the proposed improvements. So we are proposing to construct a new 2-story single-family dwelling with a little small front porch shown here where my cursor is, a wood deck in the rear. It would have a two-car garage and a driveway that's 19.5 feet wide. Per RSIS, 2.5 parking spaces are required for a four-bedroom house. We are proposing, per RSIS, 3.5 spaces for a two-car garage with a driveway in front of it. Additionally, we are proposing a dry well system in the rear yard, which will contain all the runoff generated by the roof. And again, that will be submitted to the township engineer for their review and approval, if this does get approved. As far as conformance with the zoning, we do have the pre-existing nonconformities for the lot area, which hasn't changed. We did eliminate some of the pre-existing nonconformities that existed with the existing house. So we pushed the house back so it conforms with the front yard setback. The front yard setback proposed is 40.5, where 40 feet is required, and existing is 29.6, so we took care of that issue. Side yard, we do have two side yards. They're both 10 feet, where 10 feet is required, and pre-existing, we did have one side yard that was 5.4 feet, so we made that better as well. We comply with the total side yard, 15 feet is required, 20 feet is proposed. Rear yard, 40 feet is required, 92.2 is proposed. We fully conform with the building coverage, 23.9% is permitted. We're at 19.7%, so we're not at the maximum building coverage for this lot. There are two requirements for maximum floor area. One is the square footage, which is 3,520 square feet. We're proposing 3,265, so below that number. We are asking for the one variance, which is the maximum FAR. So per the code, 0.21 is permitted, and this lot is at 0.33. I do want to note that if this was a conforming lot, we'd be very close to the 0.21 that is permitted per the zoning requirements. And then we do also comply with the maximum building height. 35 feet is permitted, and this house is at 30.71 feet. That pretty much concludes the overall site layout and variances that are being requested.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for this witness? Does anybody in the audience, in the public, have any questions for this witness? I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have our architect.
Do you swear affirm tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
Yes,
Okay, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
sure. My name is Paulo Dantas. First name is Paulo, Paulo. Last name is Dantas, Dantas.
Mr. Donkus, and by way of background, you give the board where you received your education, the licenses you have, and your experience testifying
Sure.
in boards similar to this?
Yes. Graduated from New Jersey Institute of Technology in the year 2002 with a Bachelor's of Architecture. I have been licensed since 2007. Have testified in various boards in Bergen, Essex, Hudson, Middlesex, and Union counties, and also have appeared here previously in the Livingston board, and license is up to date.
Thank you.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objection, the witness is accepted as expert in architecture.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the screen, is this the updated exhibit with the colorized version of the front elevation?
Sure. So this was the original exhibit, with the exception of A001 that has a new rendering.
So
All right,
if
so
we
when-
may, council, we'll call this A2, updated rendering, which is just the front picture. There's been no change to the house itself, just the rendering, correct?
That's correct.
And then I did bring smaller handout copies as well.
Right, so why don't we give one to Ms. Hollis, and then we'll spread it around to the board. Rosemary, I'll take it. I'll take it, go ahead.
I have additional too. Does anybody need it?
They want some extra from you?
Be kind. Oh, we got more.
There you go. I think we're good now. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
So can you kind of take us through the design of the house, please?
Sure. So the property is located at 43 Oakenwood Avenue in Livingston. We're proposing on this project is a new two-story, single-family dwelling with a building footprint of 1,978 square feet, livable of 3,265 square feet, with a garage of 405 square feet. On our sheet, architectural sheet A001, the proposed basement, we're approximately 1,596 square feet. We're proposing a concrete masonry foundation, full basement, which will be partially finished. The remainder of the space will provide the mechanical area, storage area, that will accommodate the water heater and the furnace, which will provide the heating and cooling for the basement and the first floor. The partial finished basement will be determined during the permit design phase. This is more to accommodate for a recreational space for the owner, and obviously a proposed interior stair for access to the first floor. Sheet A002, which is our first and second floor. We have a first floor ceiling height of 9 feet. The first floor plan will consist of a two-story foyer in the main entrance. This will give access, also has a stair, will give access not only to the basement and to the second floor only. The foyer hallway will provide access to the basement stair, access to the mudroom, the two-car garage, an office which has a walk-in closet and a bathroom. And we're also proposing a mudroom area, which will accommodate not only the visitors, but also the homeowners. Adjacent to the office, we're providing an open plan concept, which consists of the dining area, kitchen, and a family room with a prefabricated fireplace. This is approximately 1,573 square feet of livable area. Second floor, we're also proposing the 9 feet, 4 bedrooms, including the master. The master will consist of a walk-in closet and a master bathroom, double sinks, toilet room, toilet and a shower and a standing tub. I apologize. This FAR, or livable area, is 1,692 square feet. Here at the second floor, we're gonna have a drop-down ladder, where we're proposing a second furnace in the attic. Again, we also have a laundry room also in the front. We're also proposing, is not illustrated here, but we're also proposing a couple of tray ceilings, not only in the master, but also bedroom number 1.
Excuse me 1 second, just to make a note that Mr. Horn has joined us at 8 o'clock. He'll be able to participate, but now you're not able to vote.
Okay, thank you.
So just to clarify, the attic is only accessible by a drop-down stairs and is only utilized for the location of the second furnace unit, correct?
Yeah, for mechanical purposes only.
So there is no full-size attic, there's no stairways to the attic, no concern that the attic could be converted into living space, correct?
Right, we don't have no walk upstairs or anything like that.
And
no.
that's also reflected in the roof and peaks you've done for the roofing system, and with the tray ceilings you plan on having in the 2 bedrooms mentioned as well, correct?
Sure, some of the tray ceilings will cut up into the ceiling joists and, bump up into the floor of the attic.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Architectural sheet A3, where we have a front elevation. Our total height is gonna be 30.71 feet to the top of the main hip roof, based on the average from our engineer. The architectural characteristics and material selections was based on the owner's design request. We're looking at some of vertical hardy board clap siding, horizontal hardy plank siding, and some metal roof system over the cover entrance and garage, and the main roof will be asphalt shingles. The proposed facade, if I could go to the front. The proposed front facade design was not only to create the vertical and horizontal movement, but also was to provide various facade depths to eliminate the monolithic and continuous structures, and also just to provide a little bit more aesthetically pleasing facade. The garage porch and column are being proposed as a wood accent to bring the warmth into the facade. Some of the colors that we have chosen are not going to be final in this scale, but this is definitely just to demonstrate that we're looking at a more toned, earth tones versus anything extravagant.
Thank you.
Does anybody on the board have any
I'm sorry?
questions?
What's your basement ceiling height?
The basement ceiling height, we have it at 8'2".
Any other questions from the board? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. Now, is there a particular reason, because this office looks like it could also be a bedroom, is there, if it was labeled a bedroom, would that affect our analysis at all?
I don't think that would deter from what I'm trying to demonstrate. I just think this office, it becomes a multifunctional these days, that if we have a guest, could be a guest bedroom. If we have a mother-in-law, could be a mother-in-law. But this case, we are calling an office because everybody currently is working from.
Okay, so it wouldn't change the
No.
analysis, okay.
And just for clarity, we would still meet with RSIS standards, even if it was counted as.
Oh, yeah, of course, yes.
Right, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Think we're good?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'd like to call Alexander Dougherty, our professional planner.
Do you swear affirm and tell the truth before the zoning board tonight?
I do.
All right, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Alexander Dougherty, last name is spelled Dougherty.
All right. and
By
we'll
way
have-
of, sorry, counsel. By way of background, can you give the board where you received your education, what licenses you carry, and what experience in front of zoning boards you have?
Certainly. My education's out of Rutgers Blaustein with a master's in city and regional planning, a concentration in development and redevelopment, certification in public policy. My licenses are current, both local PP as well as certification AICP. I'm the professional development officer for APA New Jersey, where I actually review those credits for other planners. I am the supervising planner for the town of Dover. I testify in this capacity on a weekly and daily basis. I present at the League of Municipalities. I present at the State Redevelopment Conference, and I've been accepted in every board. And I believe I was in front of this board, I want to say about a year and a half ago.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as expert in professional planning.
Thank you. Mr. Dougherty, you prepared an exhibit for tonight's hearing?
Yes, I have. It consists of 17 slides of maps and photographs. I have them digitally. I know there's a couple hard copies. And it's really, the intent is to walk the board through the neighborhood, the scope of the project at hand in comparison, and then discuss the relief at hand.
Okay, so we'll mark it.
Three planners exhibit. This one was submitted in advance as well, and four just because there's 17 pages.
No, no, you-
What did you label this as?
Right there, exhibit 225, 2025.
This one?
Engineering review.
This one?
No, I don't think that's you. So you can look at it. I think here's the other exhibit further down.
You just called it exhibit, this one? Okay. Yep, perfect. So before I begin with the exhibit, I just want to emphasize the conceptual behind me. We're going to see this again throughout this neighborhood. Though the architectural design is really nice and stunning, this is not something that Livingston has not seen or this neighborhood has not seen. So I just want to emphasize that look, and because you'll see that again. So for purpose of the exhibit, slide 1 is really to orientate the board about where we're at in Livingston. I can certainly zoom in a little bit. We are in that R3 zone, outlined in red, approximately where the site is in location, within the R3 zone. Okay, this is gonna, let me just jump down. So slide 2 is in just from NJDEP GeoWeb property outlined in red. The takeaway here is you'll start to see here through this exhibit, you know, right here on Oakwood, and going up and a little bit on Lee, we'll start to see some of these lots are a little bit tighter as they're 50 by 200, where the surrounding properties are averaging 100 by 200. So, I'm sorry, 100 by 100. This is, so the property in question, again, is outlined in red, and this is your tax map, where we can see it's 50-foot wide. Some of the properties that I'm going to take the board through for orientation of the neighborhood, we're going to look catty corner across the street. We can see they're 50 feet wide. The second property next door, lot number 7, not the adjacent, but lot number 7, I want the board to remember, is on 50-foot wide by 200. And then we'll start to look at some of the properties, particularly lot 6 on Lee, and then we'll look at lot 28 on Lee Road. Again, orientation here, they're approximately 50-foot wide lots, and we'll kind of just go from there. So here you see on slide 3, I believe it is, or 4, this is the property in question, what currently exists. This structure was built in 1937 per the Mod 4 data on the property, so a substantially older home. There's some of them are still around. This top-down view of the property, as you can see, this is that garage here, and as the engineer was discussing, this garage currently has a 5-yard, approximately about a 5-yard setback violation in its current
Let me interrupt you 1
condition.
second, just to note that Ms. Khan has arrived at 8:08.
Thank you.
Please continue.
Certainly. So there's some existing conditions here related to the site as far as non-conforming with the zoning, one being that it's undersized by lot area, but we have a setback where 40 feet is really required here. We're at 29.6, and we have a side yard setback where 10 feet is required. We're at 5.4, and that really is right around here where this garage is situated here. So this is a head-on shot. There's that garage. Again, 5 feet of this garage is overhanging into the side yard setback. A very small, modest house, Cape, again, built 1937. This is block 1302, lot 13. So when we talk about 2 lots over, remember, if we discuss it, again, the subject site here in red, 2 lots over. This house right here that I'm demonstrating to is on a 50-foot wide lot. As you see, it's a little bit larger. It kind of extends further back. We have, we'll see some other properties where we'll start to see some positive investment and turnover into the older housing stock in this immediate neighborhood. Again, subject property outlined in red right here, labeled 2 lots over. Again, a new, more modern home. We can kind of see some of the houses around are getting a little bit larger. Catty corner across the street over here, we'll see a much larger house, 2 larger homes. There's a good variety in housing. So this is directly across the street. Again, our subject site down here in the bottom right-hand corner, looking across the street, kind of hugging the corner, was a new modest house, again, an older Cape. So it's a good variety from the public realm and the streetscape. Catty corner off to the right, again, a new modest house built. Again, I told you we'd see this design throughout the neighborhood, very similar design. What I want to point the board to is catty corner to the back on Lee. We'll see a very large structure coming up, you know, just above the roof line across the street. So we take the drone out. We give you a bigger perspective on what's happening here. We'll see all the houses from a top-down approach. They vary in size and scale. We have some that are older, some that are newer, some that extend, you know, further back. Further up, these lots are on 75-foot wide lots, so the houses appear a little bit larger on the public realm in the streetscape. Just looking up, Oakwood on the corner, again, larger home, really extends to the back, the capes that are still hanging around, built in the 30s, early 40s, and again, a lot of new development kind of sprinkled throughout the immediate neighborhood. What I want to point out is directly behind us, the lots are a lot larger, more spaced out, so we do have this congregation of smaller lots on Lee, and the surrounding neighborhoods start to open up and have that bandwidth by way of a lot size. So again, we're here on Lee Street. across the street from, on the back of Oak. Again, this is that large house that abutted the neighbor across the street. We can kind of see again, we have that two-car garage happening in the front with the stairs. Again, the larger building footprint next to the capes. This is across the street from that. Again, you see the homes kind of start to go into the back when we're limited on lot width. This is was asked by the applicant himself to really show what I guess would inspire the design. What you see here on page 16, slide 16, is a Google image from 2013 of 18 Lee Road, right here with the cobblestone frontage. And you'll see the existing neighborhood again next door. You'll see the house with the red shutters. You'll see this house in the next slide change over. So this is what it looks like today at 18 Lee Road. Again, I'll kind of bounce back. Very similar design. What we're proposing here is very much reflective of what we're seeing throughout the neighborhood. This is the kind of home improvements that we're pretty much accustomed to seeing throughout the Northeast. It's a double-car garage, front-loaded, with the door on the side, and, the bedrooms on the second floor. The first floor, pretty much standard open, kitchen, living room, amenities. So it's the way of the land, what's here, and I think it's important that the board get a real understanding for the context of the neighborhood and what we're proposing and the integration of that. So with that being said, we are here for two variances. One of them is an existing condition on lot area. We're at 10,000 square feet where 15 is required. We really can't cure that deficiency. As you see, it's a built-out neighborhood, existing conditions here. Site's privately owned. We are here for the max habitable floor area percent, where 21% is required in the R3. We're asking for 33%. With that being said, this exhibit, I hope, shows the board that what we're asking for is not atypical of the neighborhood by way of design. When we talk about the relief and the relief that's needed, we are here for D4 FAR variance, and the essence of the D4 variance is pretty straightforward. Can the site accommodate the additional floor area? With that being said, we have sewer connectivity here. We have water. It's a pre-existing lot that has connections. We have, as we've heard the architect testify, whether we look at the office and convert it to a room, the adaptive reuse of that space, we'll still meet RSIS, which is the parking requirements here. So by virtue of this design, for the case law that's presented for the FAR, can the site accommodate the additional floor area? By design and by functionality, certainly the answer is unequivocally yes. One of the things I'd like to point out to the board is with this design, we do cure two deficiencies by way of side yard and front yard setback. So though we're asking for a little bit on the maximum habitable floor area, I want to point out to the board there's another second means of control here when we talk about floor area and habitable floor area. Livingston has a percentage, and then they also have a square footage. So by square footage, what's allowed in the R3 is 3,520 square feet. We're under the square footage by way of 3,265 square feet. So we might be over a percentage. Again, that's interrelated to the lot itself. I would like to tell the board, if we had the 15,000 square feet, we'd be in compliant. Unfortunately, we're running those numbers. We're still asking for a little bit. But I want to let the board know, even if we had a larger lot, and we can max out the floor area by way of square foot, that would be telling the board, the town sees that the 3,520 square feet as really the large home. We're under that for the R3. There will be other properties in the R3 throughout Livingston that would stay under the percentage, but max out on the square footage. Our percentage is integrated to the lot area of deficiency as well, but I want to point out that though we're asking for the percentage, we're under in the square footage, we're under in the bulk requirements, front yard, side yard, rear yard setback, and the like. So we're staying within the back of the napkin test, if you will, the bulk requirements. We're in those dimensions, we're under the height. The FAR really is not asking to violate or ask relief of those dimensional requirements. And when you look at FAR has its history rooted into larger commercial buildings, warehousing, Walmarts, large square grocery stores in that regards. When we look at FAR and its intent in a residential zone, it's really a mechanism designed to control the scale and massing. So with that, this exhibit that I put together for the board is to show that the scale and massing is certainly compatible with the neighborhood, with the R3 zone. Here we have a site where the special reasons and the benefits of this application, when we look at what we're proposing here, again, we're turning over an older housing stock. What was built in 1937 is not really the standard and expectations of home ownership that we see in 2025 and going forward. So we have an opportunity to revitalize this from a competitive standpoint for functionality of the site and the family arrangements. We have proven living environment that certainly outweigh any detriments by way of the FAR, because we still have that square footage control here. It brings it more into harmony with the neighbors. As you see with the photos and the investment coming in the area, both visually and functionally, we now have a one-car garage converted to a two-car garage. The project promotes efficient land use and positive aesthetics. All of the above would otherwise promote purposes A, C, E, G, I, and M of the municipal land use law, particularly C, adequate light, air, open space. Purpose E is appropriate densities, location. Purpose I is a desirable visual environment. Again, what you see here at 18 Lee Road is essentially what we're trying to reflect on Oakwood. And we certainly have purpose M, the view of lessening the such costs for more efficient use of land here. We have, again, sewer, access, utility. It doesn't make sense to go to virgin land to try to build a home. We have a site that we believe can accommodate here. When we look at the negative criteria related to this relief, as you've heard, the architect and the engineer, there's no existing stormwater management controls. This application would otherwise bring that. That's an added benefit. The site can function and operate efficiently and safely. This will be built to applicable building codes. They certainly have changed since the 1930s, so it certainly would be advancing purpose A of the safety and and general welfare of the Livingston community overall. But I want to just bring back to the D4 here when we talk about the essence of the D4 and what the courts have determined in the Randolph Town Center versus Randolph Township is, can the site accommodate this additional FAR? And by way of the functionality of the site, I believe it can. With that being said, I have taken it a step further for enhanced burden of proof and looking into the master plan of the 2018 master plan here. And I just want to point out, there are 3 goals to the master plan that have remained unchanged. Goal 1, to preserve and enhance the primary residential character of the community. I think this application here is hitting that right on the head. And Goal 3, to preserve and improve the quality of life. Again, we have a dated home, 1937. We're bringing a modern building arrangement and functionality to the site here. So with that being said, I don't believe this application will erode the intent of the zoning ordinance. We have a single-family dwelling application and a single-family detached residential zone. So it's against a permitted use, and we're under that square footage. So with that, I'll conclude. I believe the statutory criteria has been met, and approval would otherwise be warranted.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for this witness? Yep, go ahead.
And I assume that it implied that the comps that you showed, your footprint for this property is going to be substantially consistent with the comps of the new houses?
Correctly. This
Okay.
will not be out of character.
Okay.
Anybody else on the board? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Okay, I think we're done with the witnesses.
I would just ask the right to reserve after we find out if there's any comments from the public.
Of course. Are there any comments, any statements from the public? No, don't see any statements from the public. Does anybody on the board want to make any statements? I'll just make a quick one, that I do appreciate the roof being designed in such a way that doesn't add additional mass to the building. Where all these buildings start to, they take over a little bit more, we understand the FAR, but by keeping it down, I think that helps to tone it down, and that's appreciated.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Any closing statements, or?
Yes, just in closing, as you heard from the professionals here tonight, there was care in designing the house to make sure, again, that the attic could not be converted into livable space. As the board is very much aware, with your floor area ratio percentage, it does measure from the outside rather than the interior walls. So things like the portico and so forth are helping bump up that percentage number that, when you look at it as a percent, looks bigger than what it actually is. This is an undersized lot. We did take care to make sure that we complied with all of the bulk requirements. And as you heard from the testimony, almost half of the rear yard is being preserved as rear yard. We only cut to that almost 90-foot mark because of the deck, not because of the house. We told the applicant if we were coming here tonight in front of the board, show exactly what you're gonna build, show the deck, don't come in, be insincere, not show a deck when the board knows that everybody puts a deck or a patio on. So we wanted to come in with the full proposal so the board knew if they approved it tonight, this is exactly what you're gonna see be built at the site. And we appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody on the board want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, Ms. Yun,
Yes.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Kenyon, yes. Mr. Horn?
Abstain.
Not that, okay. Mr. Beer?
Yes.
And do I call the alternate?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Sohel,
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Pressure over there. We'll go back to number one. Back to number one.
Okay, block 5005, lot 16, 40, what's that? Richwood Road, application number 2024-62-V, Dwight and Farhan Northover. Applicant seeks approval for a carport and addition in violation of the following section. 170-98C3, left side yard setback, 10 feet required, 9.2 proposed, 0.8 variance requested. 17087BB3, habitable floor area, 3520 square feet allowed, 4117 square feet proposed, 599 square feet variance requested.
Thank you.
Okay, all yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. John Barbarula on behalf of the applicant. Tonight, we have a slightly different situation. We have a house that is already built. They had received zoning permit and building permits, and then during the process, there was determined that these various requirements as filed in the application were overlooked and have to be addressed. So tonight, in order to do that, I have a planner that I would like Mr. Wenzel to swear in, if he would, and we can go forward with what is there on the site and what the particular variances are. I hope that when you see all this and we address it, you'll see that this was appropriate for the FAR and the variances requested by the municipality, the Township of Livingston. At this, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, if Mr. Wenzel can swear in our planner?
Mr. Graviano, do you swear firm to tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do.
Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, my first name is Nicholas with an H, last name Graviano, G-R-A-V as in Victor, I-A-N-O.
Mr. Graviano, you are a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey,
Yes, I am.
and you have been qualified as a planner in this municipality probably dozens of times, and as well as other municipalities as a professional planner. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And your license is in good standing as we sit here, or as I stand here and you stand here tonight?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to present Mr. Graziano as the planner and ask that you please qualify him as so.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as an expert in planning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So could you go forward and explain the project as we now have it on the lot?
Yes, this is an application for a specific piece of property known as Block 5005, Lot 16. It's located in the R3 district. As you heard in the applicant's attorney's intro, this house is substantially completed. The applicant decided to add a carport to the right side of the dwelling. At that time, was notified that some variances were needed on some completed portions of the project. The applicant is requesting the following relief from the board this evening. The first relates to the side yard setback. If you see on the left portion of the house, the applicant extended the house at the existing deficient side yard setback, which was 9.2 feet, whereas 10 feet is required by ordinance. Additionally, the applicant's plans, when submitted for zoning, did not account for the double calculation of a two-story room, which does not have a floor. You know, we see that common with the foyers. If you look at the plan, the family room where I have the cursor right here, that's approximately 22 feet wide by 27 feet long. That is an open ceiling, which was not double calculated when the applicant submitted the zoning permit and the plans to the building department. So the applicant is requesting 2 C variances before the board this evening. I would like to note that this is an oversized lot. The lot area is 20,251 square feet, whereas 15,000 square feet is required in the R3 district. The applicant, while requesting the variance for the maximum habitable area, is actually under the FAR requirement for the zoning district, whereas 21% is required in the zone. The applicant's house, as it stands today, plus the carport addition, would be at 20%. The applicant's lot size is over 5,251 square feet larger than what's required by ordinance. The applicant is requesting a habitable floor area of 599 square feet, which is that 2-story family room which exists today. When you do the math, the zoning code allows 0.23 square feet of habitable floor area per 1 square foot of yard area. So if you looked at it that way, the applicant's extra 5,000 square feet would equate to a little bit over 1,200 square feet of living space, whereas the applicant's only requesting the 599. These 2 C variances certainly could be granted under the C2 criteria, whereas it relates to a specific piece of property. The purposes of zoning and the municipal land use law would be advanced. This proposal certainly advances purpose A of the municipal land use law, advancements of the public health, safety, and general welfare. It also advances purpose G to provide sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of residential uses to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. And when you look at the applicant's house, it's certainly an appropriate location to extend that foundation line at the current 9.2 feet. It's better construction-wise and it's better aesthetics-wise. And then speaking of aesthetics, it certainly promotes purpose I, a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. Both of these variances could be granted without substantial impairment to the zone plan or the zoning ordinance.
So as I said, this is a different type of application. We have an oversized lot. Livingston is one of the few towns that has that counts that double area, which we have seen, and you did probably 80 applications last year. I would have to say probably 50 or 60 of them have the double foyer. Here, it's the great room, which that's why it was required that space. But, you know, it's part of the ordinance and it has to be addressed, and that's why we're addressing it now. So we have a little different than our normal applications before you in terms of the FAR, and I believe that the planning criteria of the C2 variance, because of the particular site, because it followed the old foundation, I think is appropriate here. Are there any other items you'd like to address from the application?
No, there are not.
In that case, Mr. Chairman, I submit, Nick, for any questions that you may have or the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness? Please.
Well, sorry, a couple questions. When you say the existing, are you, you referred to a couple times the existing house. Are you talking the house that has now been built or the original house that was?
The house that has now been built.
Okay. How far the original house, what was the side yard setback on the original home?
The original home was 9.2 feet. The applicant continued that foundation line for the addition, which is at 9.2 feet as well.
Okay. And if I understand this correctly, looking at this, right, it's a 2-car garage and a carport?
Yes.
Okay. So we have this picture, which isn't the greatest picture in the world that was in the packet. So it's hard for me, I don't know if you have a picture, it's hard for me to picture the garage and the carport because I don't have anything showing
Well,
it to me really.
It's a 2-car garage by the plans. The applicant, once it was built, tried maneuvering the vehicles. It's really like an oversized one-car garage. So they wanted the carport to provide additional covering for the vehicle, which would be parked
Okay,
outside.
so do you have a picture of what that, like I said, this is the picture that was given to us. I don't see a picture showing me the front of the house, here's the garage,
Sir,
here's the carport.
the carport was not built.
So that is not built yet.
No, the applicant, deciding to do the carport, went to the zoning office to apply for the carport. And there were variances that needed to be applied for. So that's why the applicant's before the board this evening.
It was the application for the carport that found that they made the original mistake.
Gotcha.
You know, it's, you know, everybody makes a mistake.
No,
So now
understand.
now we're trying to cure it.
Okay, and what is, again, there's a lot of handwritten things on here. So is the carport 14 feet 9 inches wide by 16 feet 4 inches deep? Is that what this is showing me?
Give me 1 second, because the
Sure.
plan for the carport isn't on the drive.
Sorry, Tom.
No, that's quite all right. We want to make sure we give you the right answer.
To your point, it's not a traditional.
We don't want to say it's 20 by 50.
No, no, no.
Sorry, the
No
computer,
worries, no worries.
the computer always has to freeze when you need it.
I just, you know, this is what I'm looking at, was submitted to us, that I'm making my assumption on that's the size of the carport.
Give me 1 second, I'll get you
Yeah,
the
what
exact
what do we have?
dimension.
You have a question, let Mr. Graviano have the opportunity to pull up the plan and be able to respond and clarify.
Doesn't match. 14, 14.9. 16.4.
That's the carport.
16.4 was 7.6? No, it was 8.2.
Bless you.
God bless you.
That doesn't match either. That's how town, unless he's going to the left.
see what you're. We get the exact architectural plan.
That could be old, that's from October. I can't see. I can't see those dates on something. This is also October. But the revision dates might be, let's see. I wouldn't even want to try.
Wasn't anticipating that question. I didn't have that downloaded, but my client has it downloaded from the architect, showing one-car carport 14-foot wide by 19.1 foot long. Mr. Chairman, can I show the member this phone?
Sure.
It's on the plan.
It should be what we're looking at.
Yes, looking at the plans, those figures that were just provided are correct.
Sorry about that. You hit us with a question that but we had it.
We're trying to make sure you're sharp.
Yeah, well, you're going to keep me awake, right?
Are you good, Mr. Horn? Or are you still thinking?
So I'm okay with that. I guess my question is, if I look at this, and maybe it's a question, but, so I get that, but I believe you're asking for a side yard aggregate variance as well? Okay, I'm good then, thank you.
And just for clarification, the existing foundation wall that was extended is still from the original building?
That is correct, Chairman.
Right.
The original home was at
That's what I
9.2 feet. The foundation was extended at 9.2 feet during the
Yep.
construction process.
Yep, just want to make sure that was clear.
Which makes more rational sense from a construction and
Mm-hmm.
aesthetic standpoint.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions for this witness?
I have a question. Just going back to the habitable floor area ratio, I know you said that the carport, right, is supposed to be factored into the floor area ratio. I don't see that, though, on sheet 1.
No, it is not. It's
Okay.
not habitable space.
Okay, I thought that you said it was factored into the rate, the FAR.
Well, no, the carport triggered the applicant's variance request for the side yard setback at 9.2 feet on the other side,
Okay,
and for the uncalculated two-story family room.
okay, I got
The
you.
carport's not triggering the need for any relief.
Okay,
Yeah, Mr. Sherman, there is no variance for a carport. What happened is when he came back for that, saying, hey, it's tough to get in and out for that second car, he went in, made application, and then the original approvals, there was that error found, and therefore, we're now addressing the error that was found. But it's exactly what Nick said, it's on the opposite side. Here's the carport, there's where the variance was found, on the opposite side.
No question?
So is it the-
Do you know what it does to the pervious coverage, adding the carport? The impervious coverage?
It doesn't trigger any variances.
For lot coverage? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No,
That's
there are
what
no-
I wanted to know if it impacted any impervious
No,
coverage.
we're oversized, we begin with by 5,000 square feet, so we're way under. This is, like I said, when at the beginning, this is very unusual. We're always dealing with tight, it's like we're trying to get into that size 18 shirt when we're really a 19. Here, we got a 20 size shirt and we're only 18, so.
Yeah, nothing is triggered
Little
by the
different.
carport.
And we gotta be different once in a while. Right?
And the carport, is that pavers or asphalt, or it hasn't been decided?
It's going to be the same material as the driveway, which is
Asphalt?
asphalt.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
I have a question. So you said the carport did not trigger any variance,
Right.
but from what I look on this exhibit, the left side is 9.2, and then the right side, original without the carport, is 24.9 feet. Now the carport is going to take 14.9, so that leaves 10 feet on the side, on the right side. So aggregate, we get 19.2 feet. That's exactly where the 19.2% is calculated. So does that, but I think the carport does trigger this one, correct?
If the board deems that variance as being necessary, then that variance could also be granted under the C2 criteria, but, upon the applicant's submission to the municipality, that variance wasn't deemed to be necessary.
Part of the unusual aspect of this particular application is that this was already submitted and went through building and zoning.
Right.
So permits were already issued for these things. So the variances that are before you, the two that Mr. Graviano talked about, are the two that have been flagged as the ones where relief is required for them to proceed forward.
I concur with Mr. Wenzel's assessment.
Any other questions on the board?
I got one last question.
Sure.
Seeing that now you're eliminating the two-car garage and building a carport, like on the outside with the one-car garage, and leaving the extra space and the storage space, would your client agree to a condition of approval that the garage and the storage space that's noted on the plans that's inside the garage will not be used as habitable space?
Well, I don't know whether we need that. It's still gonna, it's not going to a one-car garage. It's still built as a two-car garage, and it's gonna be utilized that way. But I don't really see that we need to do that kind of condition. I mean, if they were to put bedrooms or something there, that would be a zoning violation. So I don't see that as a necessary requirement. That would be my position.
Any other questions on the board? Are there any questions for the public? Please come forward.
Ma'am, can you please raise your right hand?
Yes,
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
yes, I'm asking questions, though,
Okay.
right?
Just one for questions, right?
Oh, there's questions.
Questions.
Oh, you
That's right.
threw me off. He was motioning at me.
Sorry, I thought you wanted her name or something.
Well, the name would be. Yes,
There you
your name
go.
would be nice.
Hi, my name is Carol Berger, Berger, and I live at 42 Witchwood Road.
Okay.
Okay.
Just keep your voice up, ma'am.
Sure,
Thank you.
not used to this.
It's okay, no, take your time.
Okay. So I have several questions. This project started 3 years ago, and I know they didn't have correct permits when they started it. I'm pretty surprised to know that 3 years later, this is coming up when they started the work, they started building the addition, framing it in April of 2023.
So, Ms. Berger, this is time
It's a-
for
It's
questions.
a question. Oh,
Right,
I'm
so
sorry.
it's
Okay,
a
I'm
question
sorry.
on the.
Yeah,
Just to
I'm
be clear,
asking
it's
the
a
planner.
question. Wait, it's a question on the planner's testimony.
Yes,
Okay?
yeah.
And
So
then
it has
later
to
on, later on, if you want to make a statement,
Yep,
you will
that's
get you back
fine.
for that
Um,
when I swear you in.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand, I know you said that there was a mistake in the math, that this is now 3 years later after, or 2 years after the house was built, that this mistake is being found. But the side yard setback should have always been noticed. How could that be that it wasn't noticed? And I know you said 9.2, but where the addition is on the plans that I pulled up on the town website shows 9.1.
The plans I relied on showed 9.2. My testimony is irrelevant of the history. From my professional planning standpoint, the existing house stands at 9.2 feet. The existing addition exists at 9.2 feet. Neither condition, I think, causes a substantial impairment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance or the public good.
So I'm also trying to understand, I understand that it's a township requirement that existing structures be shown on plans. And I'm trying, can you explain why features that are in the process of being constructed or are on the variance request are not on the plan? For example, I know we talked about the carport. They've also just added a circular driveway. There is a cinder block structure in the back that looks like a gazebo. They added a retaining wall and stone steps, and none of that is listed on the plan. So how can the board make a decision when these things are not even showing on the plan?
Well, I can answer that because that has nothing to do with the application. At the end of the project, the applicant has to do an as-built. So anything that is on the site will be presented to the
Well,
municipality.
I pulled this up from the information about the planning meeting, and it says, a second copy of your survey should be marked with outlines of your proposed addition and everything in there. So
Right,
that's why
and
I'm
that's been
asking, if
submitted.
it's not on here,
The carport has been submitted.
and the circular driveway and the structure in the
The
back?
circular driveway doesn't have to be on that until everything is completed.
Well, what about the other structure in the back?
And if and when that is actually part of the project, that will
It
be on
is.
a final.
It's there.
That will be on a final site plan. It's not before the board it doesn't trigger any decision by the board.
And the applicant's driveway was included on the plans.
The circular driveway?
Yes,
It's not on the plan on the website.
the driveway was submitted.
Okay. Also, some other questions I have regard the outdoor construction. Because I know when that was built, as I said, I know that they did not have the proper permits. But in the denial for this application, Mr. Marucci, who is with Town Engineering, had a memo attached that he wrote about submitting surface drainage, permit applications, verifications of the scope of work, et cetera. And that also, so I wanted to know if you know what the status of this is this available for review? And he also called out an open pending lot surface drainage permit. And I wanted to know if you know the status of that,
Ms.
because this
Berger,
was,
okay, Ms. Berger, you have to, I know this is, you don't, for members of the public, when they ask questions, it has to be on the testimony provided by that particular witness. I know you may have many questions
well,
about
and
how.
that's his expertise.
Wait.
Okay, sorry.
Wait, may have many questions about how this got to where it is today, but those questions are really not appropriate for the planner. The questions to the planner are based on his testimony. If you have questions about the history and whatnot, that really is not part of the question to the planner. And once again, as the chairman said, if you want to make a comment at the conclusion of testimony, you can certainly do that and include all of those concerns that you have, but those are not really proper questions for the planner himself.
Well, my question was, as a planner, can this be approved when these things that the township engineer had said should be done before it's approved?
Mr. Wenzel, I'd like to address that if you agree.
Go ahead if you want to. Sure.
This is an active construction project. The applicant has the opportunity to satisfy all of the township engineer's conditions. So, it's not that this project is completed. This is an ongoing project, and the applicant certainly must satisfy all of the conditions of the township engineer.
CO will not be issued until it's complied. But that's for the engineering and construction department, not these ladies and gentlemen. These people here, your fellow citizens, decide whether or not
I
the
understand
applicant
that,
should be approved.
but in denying it, that's what he wrote. That's
Let
why
me
I'm
add
asking.
in
Okay.
that there's standard language that's in all denial letters, including surface drainage and other things. These are things that the applicants, the builders, have to comply with. It's not part of our review, it's engineering's review, but our town is very good about making sure water from a project doesn't increase, the project doesn't increase the water flow to your property. So they have to prove with engineering calculations, based on surface area and everything else and slopes, how much water will be going into your property based on what they built. And if they don't satisfy that, they have to add dry wells or other mitigation. So there's a whole series of things that happen that no one sees. It's not on the website, it's not available. You can go in and talk to the building department, and I'm sure they will discuss and explain further, but I think what people are trying to explain and not trying to blow you off is that it's not part of what we're doing today. So otherwise we would never get out of here. So it's simply for the side yard setback, and the habitable floor area. So that's what's before us, that's what we can legally respond to. So I hope that helps you with a little explanation.
Well,
I know it's very confusing
kind
for
of
the
think
town
that
people.
not having things on the plan relate to how everything is going to
Right,
work.
right, right. So we're trying to explain how, but you can always go into the, to the building department and sit down and some concerns, and they'll address it. You're a citizen, and you
I've been
deserve to.
speaking with them for 3 years now.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah.
So, all right, that's what I
Thank you.
hopefully helped a little bit. Does anybody else want to have any questions?
Can I just ask, Ms. Berger, which side is 42 on? Are you on the carport side or the other side, the 9.2 side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody in the public want to make a statement? Please come forward. And now you have to be sworn in, hold it.
We have a proffer onto the photos?
What was that?
We have a proffer on the photos, he wants to hand in some photos, he said.
I was gonna
Oh.
talk to him. Just make sure. He has photos he wants to give us?
Okay, All right. Let me just, let's do this first, okay? You want to make a statement, right? So let's get you sworn in, and then we can deal with what you have. Okay. You swear or affirm that you're going to tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do, yes.
Okay, can you please state and
My
spell your name
is-
for the record?
My name is Mark Berger, Marcberger.
Okay, and your address, sir?
42 Witchwood Road.
Okay, so in addition to your comment, you want to present certain photographs to the, you want to present certain photographs to the board for them to consider in terms of the, in terms of this application, correct?
In terms of my
You got to
ask,
get to,
in terms of my ask in connection with this application, yes.
all right, so do you have,
Could we get a proffer as to what he's talking about, my ask? I don't.
okay, well, wait, that's, you beat me to it. So you're going to make a statement about the application, and the photos are related to the application, correct?
The photos are related to the application and the project generally.
Okay. Now, are these photos that you took?
Correct.
Okay. And, all right, well, Mr. Barbula has not had the opportunity to take a look at these.
May I take a look?
Why don't you take a look?
These are photographs from 2022 to the current.
I would object if he wants to show you photographs from 2022 to the current, showing various construction. That's not before you. You're here to, so just so we're very clear, had zoning approval, had construction approval, went to amend that application. The municipality indicated, although you're here for the right side, we missed. Here's the left side that we have to address. They immediately came to town, got the paperwork, and that's what's before you, correcting an error, because zoning zoning can make an error, but you still have to comply with it. That's one of the few areas of the law that's very interesting. A municipality can make an error in inspection or zoning. It doesn't change your obligation to comply with the law. That's why we're here. What went on with the construction is prejudicial and has nothing to do with why we're here. So I would say that those photos should not be admitted.
Well, we haven't, maybe we're jumping the gun a little bit. Why don't we get from Mr. Berger, let me just understand this. You're submitting those photos with the proffer, okay, with the point of making a point with regard to the left side setback and the habitable floor area variances they're requesting? Or are those because you are commenting on the history of the construction on the site? Because if you're commenting on the history of the construction of the site, and if you're showing pictures of the history of the construction of the site, that's not proper before the board. If you're showing pictures relative to that cite relative to those two variances, it's a different story.
It's relevant to the variance and conditions that I'm seeking for the granting of the variance. In addition, much like Mr. Sherman's request as far as the garage, there are certain aspects of what's been built here on the border of the house that is abutting my property line that are relevant to us.
Okay, why don't we do this, Mr. Berger? Why don't you, before we distribute the photos, why don't you go ahead and make your statement, and then we'll see where we go with the photos, okay? And just make sure you get close to the mic, so we want to hear you, okay?
All right. I'm here to express serious concerns about the requested variance for the Northovers property. For over 2.5 years, the project has turned our sightline into a perpetual construction overview with repeated violations of property rights, town regulations, and permit conditions. Their act now, ask forgiveness.
I'm going to object. I don't usually object when I have residents come forward and voice their concerns, because you know what? I'm not living there, he is. However, what he's reading to you now is putting before you a history where is he called the zoning officer? Did he call the building inspector? Is he calling?
I spoke with Marty today.
Wait.
All of which are not
Whoa,
appropriate.
Time out, okay? Okay. All right, Mr. Berger you and I are members of the bar, and
I am too.
we are
So is he.
trained.
I'm a member of the
So
bar.
is he.
Does not matter.
Okay.
Mr.
No, I agree.
Barbula, he's a member of the public.
Correct.
Despite his background. He could be a sanitation worker, he could be the King of England, doesn't matter. He's a member of the public.
Right.
You and I are here as attorneys on this application, and I understand your point, Mr. Barbula. I think it's up to the board to decide whether or not they want to hear the statement. Statements from the public are statements from the public.
Right.
Okay? It's a next-door neighbor. I think he does have a point that he would like to make, that in a maybe convoluted way will end up coming to the landing zone. So I think, Chairman, my suggestion to the board is to allow Mr. Berger some leeway. I understand Mr. Barbula's concern, but
That's quite all right, because my objection's on the record. I have no objection, as long as my objection is on the record, to be part of it. You know, and I'm sure the board knows, that items said about what other people do mean nothing unless you could have those people here before you. But my objection's there, so I don't have an objection to the board going forward, whatever they decide is appropriate, because you are the ultimate deciders.
Does anyone on my board have any objections with hearing this? I concur. Please continue.
I'm interested in just sharing some history for purposes of setting a context for the final request. I'm not talking about that, the history
No
in
problem.
and of itself.
Bring it on.
All right. The act now, ask forgiveness later approach has resulted in their regrading our land to direct water flow onto our property, installing drainage pipes on our property without permission, and deviating from approved plans. The standard for granting a variance is one of undue hardship, as you all know. It should not be hardship created because one didn't comply with permits and regulations in the first place. Before granting a variance, we should get a complete and accurate site plan, including the circular driveway, carport, and so forth that my wife mentioned. Enforcement of compliance, no new construction or modifications occur outside the approved permits, and a clear project completion timeline. This cannot remain an open-ended, piecemeal project disrupting the neighborhood indefinitely. It should be done by this fall. Specific issues to date. In mid-22, the Northovers regraded their entire front and back lots, including unauthorized use and regrading of our property, 10 to 15 feet wide, all the way up our back property. They created improper drainage channels, specifically directing water onto our land. As reflected in the application, they intentionally declined to mark their property with stakes prior to regrading the land, but there was no question that they were on our property. You will see that noted on the application itself, that there was a specific declining to get stakes. So Mr. Marucci sent township engineering personnel to review and ultimately mediate this point, and that's when the town discovered the permits filed did not extend to the scope of the work. We have privacy and safety concerns. It's in a few different categories. Noise from the 3 new air conditioning units that are on the side of the house that are within that 9.2. I know the township does not have air conditioning restraints. I know that, but there's still going to be noise under bedroom windows. All right, how are we going to mitigate that? There are new lights and a camera on the side of the house, facing our house. There's no legitimate rationale for a camera where there is neither parking nor a walkway. In fact, the only real use is to watch us. It was creepily apparent when the Northovers called out to us on a couple of occasions via their Ring camera while we were walking on our own property. We also note, and these are pointed at my house, and have access to look in the bedroom windows should they decide to do so, if they re-aim it. We also note that there are the new windows in the second story that were discussed in the planning. These lights are going to be coming into our bedroom windows. If ever floors are built there, they could look right into our bedroom windows. And lastly, there's a whole line of trees, as I mentioned, a whole line of trees up and down the property. I'm specifically concerned about the safety because the trunk of the tree closest to the road is right on the right-of-way setback. Naturally, if the leaves grow, and there are branches sticking out into the right-of-way, you'll see in the pictures that all these trees, they're like spruce trees or junipers, they'll form a wall. I will not be able to see the road. I will not be able to see the traffic. There's a big boulder set up right at the end of the trees, a couple of feet into the right-of-way. That's not a way to handle it. I would like that end tree removed because it's creating a hazard for my family pulling out of my driveway completely unnecessarily. It's designed to fail. It's designed to fail because the branches themselves are already in the right-of-way. All right, so it's blocking my view, and as these trees grow, it's just going to create a wall where I will not be able to see what's coming up the street. We're also interested, again, in the structural inconsistencies, the undocumented construction elements that have to appear apparently at the end date. Let me get, with all this as background, let me get to my ask, all right? No further constructions without the permits. Denials of additions requested after the plan is submitted. They're on and on. Routine inspections to ensure compliance. Again, you've heard all these things. Do it now, ask questions later, get permissions, get forgiveness later. We have to have some sort of level of compliance, some sort of level of periodic inspections, and a mandated deadline for project completion with oversight by a professional contractor. Fall of this year seems reasonable for the structure and the grounds, in addition to the removal of that camera, and in addition to removal of that tree. You know, Mr. Marucci's points about the permits and so forth, let them be at the end. But they have to be complied with. I think there should be, you know, we just have to be checking up on this. You can't allow this to go forward unchecked. You can't subscribe to the do it now, ask for forgiveness later. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else in the public want to make any statements? Does anybody on the board want to make any statements?
I'll make a statement. So, there's a little bit of emotion in the room. I thank the Bergers for coming and for speaking their piece. It means a lot to us. We really like when the public comes and expresses what they feel about any application. And to the Northovers, thank you very much for coming. I think what is in front of us tonight are two variances. I'm sorry, yes?
Could I just interrupt you 1 minute, Mrs. Khan? I'd like to address what he said before you make comments.
Sure.
So that you
Feel
get
free.
an idea.
Please.
Thank you. So we'll take basically now sort of a summation. First of all, if the Bergers have a question that they feel that that tree by the street may be blocking their, we'll take it out. Period. Will be reviewed for site distance because a site triangle is extremely important. Secondarily, there have never been violations. So that's the other thing. Third point, this was not we did it and asked for permission. We went, got zoning, got the building permit, then went to amend it, and they found that they had missed it originally. I'm not throwing anybody from the town under the bus. People make mistakes all the time, and that's what happened. We didn't go ahead and build it, which happens a lot, because as you know, I represent a number of towns, and I have one particular person who I'd love to put in a little box, because he goes in, he cuts trees, he builds, and then he tries to ask for forgiveness. That statement, I take umbrage by Mr. Berger, because there's no violations, and this wasn't the case. This was, we went in to amend the plan, then they found it.
We're not here for that.
No, I just
That's
wanted
not
to
what
make
we're
sure,
here for.
I wanted to comment on what he said. Because
And I'd like
four
to refute
times, it's my turn, sir, excuse me, please. 4 times he said, built and asked for forgiveness. That's not the case we have here. So I want to let you know that we're trying to address his concern. The concern about the tree is a legitimate concern, and we don't want anybody to be blocked for sight. So we will take, if that's the case, we will remove it. As far as cameras, we all have the right to have our property surveilled. So that it's really not even part of the requirement. So what we're looking here is very simple. We were informed that we had a problem. We are addressing the problem. I don't believe that this, based on an oversized lot, that what we have here creates anything that doesn't completely require approval of our C variances. It's always a problem when you have a long-term construction. But this house is almost done, and that's why we're here, because this was the last part. So we're asking that we feel that we've met the statutory requirement. We want to give consideration to safety that he mentioned, because out of the other things, that is a legitimate concern. So we will address that so that it's not an issue. And I don't mean to interrupt
No,
you,
that's
but
okay. Thank you
I
for
wanted to
coming
get it in
forward. Thank
before you said that. Thank you.
Just give me 1 second. I want to clear up 2 points. Number one, Ms. Berger, there's no more, your comment is your comment. It's not back and forth. So there's no more public comment at this point. That's number one.
I can't respond to his
No,
refuting.
no. This is not oral argument on an order to show
That's fine.
cause.
I just want
So,
to share
no.
with you the email from Yordi
No.
about the violations.
You, Ms. Berger, it's not that time.
Pictures?
No. Let me clear up one other piece that Mr. Barbula just said, and I want to be clear about it. Mr. Barbula, are you saying that your client, if the board was inclined to approve this application, that as a condition of approval, that your client will review the sight lines at the end of the driveway to determine whether or not that tree should be removed?
All right, if the engineer says that it affects his sight line, we do not want him to come out of the driveway and be prohibited from seeing up and down.
All right,
which-
so your client
So
would agree to that as a condition of
absolutely.
approval?
That's why I wanted to say it.
Okay.
Because that is, out of the statements he made, that is a legitimate safety concern. We don't want to impose by we're just putting shrubbery, but if that shrubbery causes an issue, we'll move it.
Okay.
So not an issue. I want to make sure we're absolutely clear with that.
And through you, Chairman, I think Commissioner Khan was.
Thank you, I got a raise.
Well, that's why, Mr. Berger, I appreciate it, but really, you just can't keep coming up. I'm sorry, but there's,
I want to say this. all
No,
right?
you-
No, it's favorable to them.
Ms. Berger, even if it's favorable to me, You can, thank you. That I'll allow on the record. But Mr. Berger, no, we can't, unfortunately, in this type of scenario, there's a statement, and then there's a statement, and then that's it. But I think the board has heard your concern, and the floor is the commissioners.
Fine, thank you. We'd like the variance done. I hear you. We'd like the variance given so they get the thing done.
Okay,
Right?
Ms. Berger, why don't you take, let me just add this one point of order.
You got the floor.
And some of my boards want to be called commissioners. Ms. Barbour understands.
That's fine. She
Some
got a
like commissioner,
promotion.
some
We
like
like to
member.
promote women in this world.
Some say comrade, I don't know. But as far as just something informational to Mr. Berger, if any variance approval in this township has a one-year sunset provision. So if somebody receives approval today, they have to meet the requirements of completing the conditions of the variance by, in essence, beginning the building of the item which causes the variance within 1 year. So there is a sunset provision. I wanted to let you know that. I think that doesn't completely answer your question, but I want you to know that. And I think, Chairman, through you, you're still here.
I'm still here.
The commissioner, please.
Okay, just quickly, I will not reiterate everything that everybody has said tonight. I think that we've heard a lot. But we are here to look at two variances. We're here to look at a left side yard setback and habitable floor area. As far as the side yard setback goes, that was an existing condition. So it's not like we were going to knock the house down and, move it, back 8 inches. That was never going to happen. Again, there are mistakes that are made, and I get that because we all make mistakes. So I understand that was an existing condition. The second thing is, this is a really large lot. It's over 20,000 square feet. So it's in an R3 zone, and it's really the size, it's almost in between an R2 and an R3, so I'm going to say it's like an R3.5, right? So we have to look at that as well, right? So that's something that we need to look at. So even with the 4117 square feet proposed when we're looking at the double height, assuming that the Northovers aren't going to build a second floor, it's really, we're really not looking at something so egregious. So those are the two variances that we're looking at, and I will listen. Hopefully, someone else on the board has something else to say, but that's my opinion.
Any other statements on the board?
I just want to say that because the height on the family room is a double story and the way the windows are placed, what I can see in the pictures, just want to be mindful that the second floor is not constructed.
Well, that can be a condition of approval.
That's no issue.
Right.
There's not going to be, it's done. We're
Right.
not building a second floor and that vaulted ceiling.
Yes, right.
You can make that a condition.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have another
Well,
statement. Yeah, I'm not
Please.
sure, and I defer to our counsel, of your statement that anybody could do, especially when you're asking for a variance, that you can, I don't believe you can shine a light and have lights that can shine into your neighbor's window. You could keep somebody up all night, so I think.
No, I didn't,
Okay.
just, Mr. Wiseman, I didn't say that. I said anybody could have surveillance. You cannot, by ordinance in Livingston, he could come out and get a violation, he could have zoning go out and do a violation. Lights, you can have lights all around your house. You cannot have it shine across your property line. That's not the situation here. The fact is that there are lights, the fact is that there is a camera, and all I said was that you can surveil your own property. But that is a policing issue, and that is not what's happening, and if it is happening, he can easily call up the town. You have a very efficient enforcement group here, and they would go out, they have to get somebody to agree to go out at night and see whether or not there. Because it would have to shine like this across the 10 feet. That's not what we have. So I'm not saying, and please, I hope, don't misinterpret me, I said you can surveil your property. So his request, and that was in response to his request, to make it a condition to remove surveillance cameras.
I appreciate that clarification. So you're saying he would have remedies to the extent
Oh,
the
yeah,
camera.
first of all,
or-
we're not shining on his property. We want to keep our property lit for safety and security purposes. And I can assure you that we will not have the lights shining across into his rooms. Not happening. That he does absolutely, as well as any other person, the other neighbor too, would have absolutely a right. If the lights are shining it across, that's a violation, and you have a lot of violation, you got a very busy municipal court for zoning approvals.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other statements from the board? Anything else you want to add?
No, I've added everything I want to add. I don't want to
Okay.
keep you too long.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
I make a motion to approve, okay. I make a motion to approve, I'm sorry.
With the conditions that
That,
the second floor, not, the vaulted second floor, not be made into a livable, actual constructed floor.
and the engineer will look at the tree to make sure that there are no site impediments.
Absolutely.
Got it,
Got better notes than I do.
okay.
Done.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Kenya, yes. Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Beer.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'll go sit down and come back again.
Thank you.
All right. You want, Mr. Barbarillo, do you want to just stay here and get,
Can you take my next one?
yeah, sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Number
Let me just say goodbye to my client, and I will come right back.
8 Montgomery. This is, yes, I will.
Hey, Iman, you ready? Thank you, Mr. Chairman, appreciate that.
You're welcome. And just as we're getting settled, I'd like to note that Ms. Yan is stepping out for this application. We still have a full complement.
Yes,
Hi,
thank
how are
you.
Rodak building. Yeah, yep, yep. Six dash eight.
Trial by combat.
Oh, that's bad.
That's what he said. What happened was the guy came out and wrote up a whole list of the engineer, but he never filed a complaint. What are you trying to do? Disconnect her? Don't disconnect her. Put her back.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Does this work?
It-
Oh, okay.
Oops, sorry, got it, thank you. Block 3000, Lot 34, 8 Montgomery Road, application number 2025-7-V, Rodak Builders LLC. Applicant seeks approval to construct a new single-family residence in the violation of the following section. 170-87CC3, habitable floor ratio, 21% allowed, 25.98% proposed, 4.98 percentage variance requested.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. John Barbarillo on behalf of the applicant. Now, this one is more like your normal. We have an existing Cape Cod. If you're over in the site, you'll see, you know that this particular home is in dire need of rehabilitation and repair. I mean, you could see that parts of it were actually, the railings, et cetera, were falling apart. I think that this application will surely enhance the neighborhood, and at this point, I would like to call our architect and ask Mr. Wenzel if he would please swear him in.
Do you swear, affirm, tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay, and can you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Ayman Sedra, Ayman. Last name is Sedra, Sedra.
Mr. Sedra, you are a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, yes, I am.
And your license is in good standing?
Yes, correct.
And you've testified before this board probably last year about
Yes, I
15 to
did.
20 times,
Yeah.
at least. At this point, Mr. Chairman, I know being a little familiar with Mr. Sedra, since you know him, I'd like to have him qualified as an architect for expert testimony before the board.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as expert in architecture.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My pleasure.
Amon, could you please go over the plans for the board and so that we can understand the nature of the floor area ratio variance that we're requesting?
Sure. I'm going to start with the first floor. As you see here on the right, we enter the house from the entry porch. Once we enter, we have a two-story stair foyer. On the left side, we have the living room and the dining room. On the right side, we have the garage. Walking toward the back of the house, we have the kitchen on the left side. On the right side, we have a guest bedroom with its own bathroom. Also, we have a powder room and a pantry. Walking back, we have a one-story family room. And then we exit from the family room with the sliding door to the patio. The floor area of this first floor is 1,670 square feet. This is the livable area. The garage area is 474. On the left side of that, we have the basement. The basement consists of one big open space. It's going to be used for recreational. And we have also a bedroom on the right side with its own egress access. We have a bathroom. We have a wet bar in the basement as well. Also in the basement, you will see on the left side corner, the front left side corner, we have the mechanical room.
And that has additional living space that's in our calculations, correct?
Yes, the area for the basement is 1,670. The next sheet consists of the second floor. The second floor is very simple, consists of 4 bedrooms. Every room has its own walk-in closet and bathroom, and also we have a laundry room. There is an area of 22 square feet open to below, and that's counted twice, but it's only used from the first floor.
So that's the typical open area of the foyer.
Exactly.
And in accordance to the Livingston ordinance, that has to be counted.
It's
both
counted
as
twice.
if there was a floor.
Correct.
And can you just address, the attic has no living space for, and access, could you just go?
Yes,
Because I know the board is always very interested. in
Yes, we only have a pull-down stair. We don't have any access to the attic, just a pull-down stair. And also the second floor livable area is 1,708. The total floor area ratio is 25%, 25.98%, which is 3,402. Also, I would like to mention that the habitable floor area, which is the ordinance calls for 3,520, we are below this number. We are at 3,402. Looking at the exterior of the building, this is a colonial style home. We have board and batten on the second floor, and we have horizontal hardy on the bottom level on the first floor. We're gonna have dark roofs. I'll show you the rendering in a second. So the first image is on the right here is the front elevation. The one here is the rear elevation. And also, as you see, the family room, it's only single story. This is the right side elevation, and the one at the bottom.
And that's the showing the ingress and egress to the basement.
Correct.
Right.
And here, going back on the numbers for the first floor is 1,670. We have a garage of 474. which is 450 not counted, so we take 24 square feet and we add it to the floor area ratio. The second floor is 1,708 with total floor area ratio of 3,402. The next image is the outside of the building. It's a front view that shows the building. We have dark metal roofs, and the main roof will be asphalt shingle, will be a dark roof as well. Dark black windows. And we're going to have a stone at the base, just at the porch area and the water table. That's it. That's everything. Oh, the attic also, I want to go over the height of the... Now, measuring from the attic floor to the roof, we have 9 feet, and we have a collar tie at 6 feet. So, and there is no access to the attic. It just will pull down the stair. The attic will be used for mechanical equipment, maybe some light storage.
So it has 6 feet at the low end and 9 at the height.
Correct. The building height is 34 feet, 10 1/4, and we still
Which
meet
complies
the,
with the ordinance.
we meet the ordinance, correct.
Mr. Chairman, I submit the architect for questionings from the board.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness? Please.
I'm assuming you're breaking down the existing house?
Yes,
and,
we're knocking the house down.
But you're keeping the same side yards as the existing house?
Let's see that on the site. This image here shows
No, I
the
think it's
existing
different,
house.
right?
We have one side at 5.74 and the other side at 12.65. The house we're proposing, we meet the requirement of the side yards, which one side we have 10 feet and the other side is 10 feet as well.
The easy answer is what's there now does not conform.
Yeah.
In the after, it's completely
will conform
conforming.
to the front.
The only variance we're asking for is the FAR. So we take encroaching, because if I'm sure you went there. You saw where the side, everything's fallen down, that encroaches. So that's all going to be brought in. So it's going to be a much better after condition, even though it's a bigger house.
Anybody else have any questions from the board? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Please come forward.
Thanks, Ed. Phil Sharago, SCHARAGO, 180 East Cedar. My lot is 3,033, so my lot is perpendicular to that house. I'm on facing East Cedar. This property is behind me. Okay? You said the square footage is 3,402 out of 3,500? Am I mistaken?
3402 out of 3,520.
And the R3 is 3,500, right? That's the limit?
35.
Maximum, yeah.
Max. Yeah.
That's the max, yeah.
Huge. Okay. Can you go back to the, I'm going to go over here.
Just
Yeah.
make sure they can hear,
Talking
make
to
sure
the
you're
mic.
right
You
at
need
it.
the site
Sure.
or you need what?
I'll need this.
Okay.
Can you scroll up a little, please? No, the
Just
other
for the
one.
record, he's looking at the site plan so that the record is
Yes.
clear.
Combination site plan survey.
Right.
So my property is here. I'm 33. I'm facing East Cedar. This is my backyard.
This is your limit here?
Yes,
This line?
there is an iron pipe, which is the stake. This is staked out here on my, on the survey, and the other stake is here. This area, which separates this property from my property, this is not staked, right? This is completely arbitrary. We need to determine where this is gonna be location-wise, okay? I have a copy of my survey. This is this survey. I don't know when the engineer is gonna come out to stake this, but for the record, I'd like to be a participant in that to find out where that's gonna be finally
If
staked.
you can give me your information, I will forward it on to the builder,
Yes,
because they don't necessarily have to put in metal stakes, but it has to be surveyed for final CO. So if you give me your information, I will forward it on to the builder, and it may have already been surveyed. If it hasn't been, then I'll ask them to contact.
Okay, because this
Okay?
is posted, this is posted, this is not posted, but I like to know accuracy where this is gonna be. And if it matches
I
my
am telling you,
survey.
if you give me your information.
Okay.
I will forward it to them, and if it hasn't already been surveyed, I will ask them to please call you or try to contact you before they do it,
Okay.
okay?
Number two, and the architect, the existing house that you're gonna knock down, correct?
Here's the existing house.
Okay.
It's being removed.
It's being removed, it's knocking down, right? Okay, so that's that location I mentioned earlier. The difference between that and that, it looks like it's gonna be set back about 20 feet. Is that true? Compared to what the driveway is, it's gonna be further back 20
The
feet?
setback here is 31.76.
So it's gonna be deeper in the lot?
Let's see the other one. The other one, the setback is 53.42.
Right.
So it's deeper.
It's gonna be 20 feet,
And
okay.
on this side, you will have more setback as opposed to the existing building where you have 5.74.
Right.
You're gonna have almost double that on this side.
So it's gonna
So
be
it
more
will-
in
it will-
and that way, okay. So it's
Exactly.
gonna be 5 feet and that way, okay, so,
But if you look here, do you see this?
yep, that's
It's
the pipe.
almost like,
That's not me, that's my next door
I
neighbor. That
understand,
house is
but-
gonna be facing my next door neighbor.
I understand. So
I'm gonna be
you-
facing a driveway, so.
Exactly, so you're
okay.
all cleared. Actually, this is a better situation than what you have here where the house
Well,
encroaching in your.
3,400 square feet out of 3,500, I don't know if this would be that great, but, can you go back to the rendering? So just 98 square feet short.
Do you want to see the floor plans?
No.
Or you want to see the outside?
I want to see the outside. So this is just aesthetics. We're
That's
not setting
aesthetics.
it.
That's
Okay.
not your house or
Because
anything.
again, we have a property line.
Yeah, that's just aesthetics.
And I want to find out where this is going to be exactly because we're talking,
Yeah, this is just to present the house, that's it.
okay, so this is going to be further back, 20 feet and more in, right? Okay, and it's going to face my next door neighbor. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Does anybody else in the public have any questions?
Please, because I have a copy of my survey in my pocket.
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to turn my back.
No, go ahead.
I just
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to get his
That's,
information.
Thanks, Ed.
People
Yeah.
turn their back on me all the time, I'm used to it.
No, but it's rude, I didn't mean to turn my back on it.
Why 3402? Was that like for a 3,500 square feet?
We always like to keep it under the number, so that we're not completely maxed out.
Because that's a long line.
But if you like us to go to the 3520, we're fine with that.
Livingston allows 35.
I know. I had my house done 10 years ago, and it's 2,400 square feet, so I like a backyard.
Things are a little different. Everybody wants maximum.
Tell me about it.
And I'll take my turn.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Okay, does anyone oh no, you have more guys, sorry, right? Sorry, back to you. I got to the end of this.
If there's no other members
No
of the public at
questions.
this time, I'd like to call my planner. Mr. Wenzel, when you're ready?
Mr. Graviano, do you swear firm to tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay, and we already have Mr. Graviano's qualifications on the
For the record,
record.
we had already qualified.
Yes,
you.
I think we can accept them.
Indicate the same.
You didn't get an email?
Not in the last 15 minutes, no,
Okay.
I
He
think.
didn't do anything to lose his license in the last half hour.
Not yet.
All right, Mr. can you go forward with the zoning requirements and land use justification for this FAR variance, if you would, please?
Certainly, the applicant is before the board this evening for a specific piece of property known as Block 3000, Lot 34, on the municipality's tax maps. The property lies within the R3 residential zone. The existing lot contains 13,095 square feet, whereas 15,000 square feet are required in the zone. This is an existing condition not augmented by this application. The applicant is before the board tonight requesting one single variance related to the habitable floor area ratio. 21% is required, 25.98% is proposed. As indicated in Mr. Cedra's testimony, this is a dwelling which is under the maximum habitable floor area of 3,520 square feet, coming in at a little over 3,400 square feet at 3,402 square feet. As you heard in previous testimony, this is an application which rectifies deficient side yard setback situations. 5.74 exists on the one side with a combined of 18.39. With the applicant's proposal, you will have the required 10 feet minimum with a combined of 20 that's required for this lot by ordinance. I would also like to note that the applicant is extending the front yard setback to meet the zone requirement and is not taking credit for the average, which could be done by code. I would also like to note that the applicant's rear yard is 88.25 feet, whereas 40 feet is required. So this is certainly a property with ample front yard space and rear yard space, which is certainly befitting of the community. Looking at the habitable floor area ratio variance, obviously the proof is whether the site can accommodate the increased floor area ratio. Certainly the applicant meets all required setbacks and coverage requirements. We'll be adding stormwater management to the property, as well as having adequate off-street parking. So with all those factors combined, the site can certainly accommodate the applicant's request for an increased habitable floor area ratio. Certainly advances purposes of zoning of the municipal land use law, specifically Purpose A, promotion of the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Purpose G, sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of residential uses to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. And then lastly, Mr. Cedra's impeccably designed building certainly creates a desirable visual environment. So the board certainly has the positive and negative criteria being satisfied to grant this variance.
I submit the testimony of the planner to the board, Mr. Chairman.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness?
So this is an easy summation. We're making a bad situation better. We're getting it to meet front yards, side yards. It's much more desirable than, I'm sure you saw what the house looks like now. I was a little surprised when I got out of the car and saw that the side was falling down. So I think that this is, based upon Nick's testimony, all of the criteria of the special requirements for floor ratio have been met. I would ask that this board approve same. Thank you so much.
Okay, and just checking, does anybody in the public have any statements to make? None? Does anybody on the board want to make any statements? Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. to
Second.
Approve.
Second the motion.
Just the positive outweighs the negative.
Mr. Horn seconded. Okay, Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya, yes. Mr. Shaw is not here, Ms. John. Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Khan?
Yes.
And Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Appreciate your consideration. I appreciate that you took me one after the other. I'll go get on the road.
Which one do we take? Should we go back to the, which one we finish? Finish that, we gotta go back to the,
No. No, but Mr. Weissman did.
I'd like to know where it is, and X marks the spot. It's like I said, I'll make sure it matches my survey.
okay. Alternate number 2, Ms. Sohal. For vote.
Yes.
On the previous application, 2025-7-3. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Sorry, we overlooked you.
Not who reported, the engineer came.
Okay, go to, Buford. Okay, block 503, lot 2, 104 Buford Avenue, application number 2024-73-V, Obina and Stella Ujokwu.
Yeah,
Okay.
good job.
Application seeks approval for a first floor and second floor addition in violation of the following section. 170-87BB4, habitable floor area, 3,220 square feet allowed, 4,092 square feet proposed, 872 square feet variance requested.
Perfect.
Hi there.
Hi, good
Welcome
evening.
aboard.
Yeah. My name is Obina Ojukwu, but I go by Obi. I am the applicant. I own the property with my wife, Stella, who's here. So I'm happy to be here this evening. So I guess I would start with saying, obviously, I've been in Livingston, for the last 13
We're
years or
gonna-
so.
Wait, so
You need to
you're-
swear me in? Oh.
Right, so, it's a little weird because normally we just got used to an attorney who can speak freely, unfortunately. Attorneys just can drone on and on. We're known to do that. But when you're going to provide testimony, we have to swear you in.
Okay.
All right.
Happy to.
Do you swear for and tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay. Now, even though you already gave us your name, just for the record, can you please state and spell your name again?
Okay, yeah, so it's Obina, first name Obinna, last name is Ojukwu, Ojukwu.
Okay. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wanson. So as I was saying, I've been living in Livingston for the, last 13 years on 104 Beaufort with my family. We've kind of come to a point where we feel that, obviously it's an older house built in 1957. It has, all the trappings of an older house, energy inefficient, all sorts of things that actually at this point needs improving. So we decided to kind of do the work and actually improve it and kind of make it modern, which is, and I'm sure we're going to get into it, but it's more in line with everything that's been happening on Beaufort, a lot of new developments, a lot of new improvements there. So I think we're hoping to kind of, move up and make the house a little bit modern from the 1957 where it was originally built with all sort of additions that were made to it. So with me here today is my architect, Mike Duster. So I would also kind of call Mike as the expert witness who's going to help me through it. And then I also have an exhibit that I also talk through that I like to kind of walk the board through when the time comes. So I guess, Mike, how does it work, Mr. Wanser? You got to swear him in?
Swear him
And
in, so.
yes.
Do you swear for and tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do.
All right, can you please, you're much taller than the last guy, so you're gonna have to get close to the mic and state and spell your name for the record.
Michael Doster, D-O-S-T-E-R.
All right, Ms. Doster, can you just quickly give us your qualifications?
Sure, I'm licensed in New Jersey and New York. I've testified on numerous boards, West Caldwell, River Edge, Phillipsburg, Irvington, to name a few. I forgot I have a dual master's. I have a master's in architecture and a master's of science in sustainable design.
And your licenses are all up to date?
They are all up to date.
And just, where did you get your degrees from?
The Catholic University of America.
Great. Does anybody on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objection, the witness is accepted as expert in architecture. All yours.
Thank you very much. So what I'm going to show you today is essentially what you have before you. I'm going to start high level at site plan and then work my way through floor plans as well as elevations. So if you refer to page SD01, you will see our lot, which is 104 Beaufort Avenue in Livingston. We are Lot 2, Block 503. We are within the R4 zone. Bless you. Our specific lot is 100 feet wide by 200 feet deep. So it's a 20,000 square foot lot, which is double the required lot for our zone. Even within the first 125 feet, we have 12,500 square feet, which is still above the required minimum. So the residence, as it currently stands, I'm going to try to zoom in for you, is an existing cape with a garage on the right-hand side, and there was a narrow two-story addition to the rear of the structure. So we are proposing to fully renovate the entire first floor, as well as add an entire second floor to the existing footprint. We are also going to be increasing our footprint by 259 square feet. So overall, you'll see our new addition space is to the rear of the home. It is this crosshatched area. So tonight, we're seeking relief from the maximum habitable floor area requirement. The specific zone has a maximum of 3,220, and as our design currently stands, we're sitting at 4,092. So we are 872 square feet above the bulk schedule requirement. I will note that our design is compliant with every other bulk schedule standard. So if you look on the bottom right of your page, you'll see our minimum lot area is compliance by double. Our lot depth of 125, we're at 200 feet. Our lot width is 75, we're at 100 feet. Our setbacks, we are going to essentially be matching the footprint, so we are not going to be intensifying or making worse any of those conditions. Our building height at the proposed is going to be 32.25 feet. Our building coverage, we're well within the 25% that is allowed, as well as our habitable floor area ratio. The only variance that we are looking for, like I said, is the max habitable floor area. I would like to bring to the board's attention that by adding our second floor, we are not making the width of our building any wider or the depth of our building any deeper. So with that, I will we'll go to SD02, and I will walk you through our floor plans. So we're going to start off at the basement level. There's our stairs coming down. It leads us to a nice open space. You'll also see a utility room here with a full bathroom and a guest bedroom with obviously with an egress access. The proposed square footage we're proposing, you can see, is this small L shape right here. Everything else is going to be above the existing footprint. The small L is actually going to be a walkout for the basement level. If you refer to sheet SD03, you will see the first floor plan. We have a new front portico here, leading into a double-height foyer space. To our left is a formal living room. There's a small pantry below the kitchen area. In the middle of the floor plan, we have a kitchen area, and above that is our proposed living room space. We have a dining room to the center of the space, as well as guest suite on the bottom right-hand section. The garage is actually the exact same size as the existing garage, so that'll be existing to remain. We will just bring that up to current code. We're going to alter the roof on that. Coming to the second floor, we are proposing 4 bedrooms, one being the master suite. So on the right-hand side, you will see 2 bedrooms with a Jack and Jill bathroom. There's going to be 1 hallway bathroom, as well as a hallway laundry room. On the bottom left, you will see the master suite. On the top of the page, you'll see a bedroom with a walk-in closet, and there is an office space because ever since COVID, office space has become a premium on homes. I will point out there is going to be an attic pull-down. The attic has no windows. The attic will not be usable square footage. It is solely going to be used for limited storage, potentially RTU unit up there. Going to sheet SD05, you will see the exterior elevations. The homes are going to be clad with thin stone veneer as well as a stucco. The roof will be asphalt shingles with some small standing seam metal roof details. As I previously stated, the max building height is 32.25 feet. With that, I can lead it back to my client, Obi. Or if the board has any questions, I can.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for this witness? Please.
Thank you. It's like a question comment, actually. I just want to confirm. So you're basically building on the existing building footprint?
We
You're
are
just
going to be
building-
utilizing the existing
Okay,
foundation.
Because in the back, you have, it's sort of cut out a lot, so you're just going to fill in that space?
There's going to be a small addition of, I want to state it correctly, 259 square feet of actual addition.
Okay, and then you're going up, though, you're raising the
That'll
ceiling?
be on
Right,
two
okay,
heights, that is
okay.
correct.
And then the height, the roof height is what? Like between the attic space and the roof height? Like just, it's a low, it shouldn't be that much because it's only 32 feet. so-
It's only 32, exactly.
Right, okay, so it'll never be habitable floor area?
No,
but we
that'll
pull
not be
downstairs?
habitable.
Yeah, but I just want to make the point, just to make sure, again, I apologize if I speak out of turn because.
No, it's
I'm
okay,
not-
it's
I'm
fine,
not-
it's good.
I'm not an
Go.
expert in that sense, but the point about the addition, because this was something that I was very particular about, that it's not going to be an exterior addition. It's almost like, it's actually happening within I call it like an interior, within the footprint. So it's not going to lead to any, like you're building on the outside and it's not going to require like a new setback or any of those things. It's not going to alter that. So we actually spend time kind of trying to think about where we'll get that. And the other point I'll make, even though maybe people will think it's not important to make it, I actually also, when my kind of design is the first time, I made the point about having that interior addition, and the main reason why I wanted it was because of that walkout up to that basement, and that for me
You have
was.
the pool back there.
Sorry?
You have the pool back there, right? So that, right?
Yeah, so
right.
I allowed the walkout, and for me it was more like a safety issue. I was always very concerned that, look, if you're kind of stuck in there and something, or even if you have like an emergency and you have like emergency responders, do they have like an easy in and out to that place? So I felt that was going to be, if we're going to do this, why don't you kind of capture and cover something like that? So that was one of the reasons why I kind of pushed for that. I just want to bring that up. I think without that, all that maybe we wouldn't have been asking for that, but I feel like it's pretty important and helpful and good.
And I just have one other comment. So this is a large lot, again, another large lot. And again, it's like a R3.5, right? So you're looking at a very large lot, and you have a 200-foot deep property. So it looks like this, just filling in the existing space and going up, it looks like it does fill the space.
Exactly, and actually I have some of my exhibits to that point exactly. I try to do a little math on one of my exhibits where I can essentially looked at the lot size and I looked at the required lot size across the firm, and I just did like a little regression.
Right.
And I said, look, and I can show it because I did the math, if we actually take a 20,000 feet, lot and put that in the same curve, it would actually support, based on the math that I did, about 4,100 or something like that square feet house. So I just essentially thought about it from that curve, and it's just not. And we're asking for, based on that regression, we're actually asking for a floor area that is lower than that's what the regression implied. And I can point that out and walk through all that.
Thank you, thank you.
I have a question. Just going back to the building height, just because the numbers don't seem to work. I know you have the 32.35 for the height, but if you start at you're back on the sheet you're on. Sheet
Oh, I'm sorry.
5. Yep, back to sheet 5.
Yep.
So like I know you start at like 9 feet, 8¼ inches till you hit the first floor, and then 9 feet, another foot, another 8. You're all the way up to almost 28 feet, and you're saying it's only at 32.35. And with an 8/12 roof, I can't see that being just about 6 feet.
So this 9 is actually to the top of the concrete slab. That's subgrade. So the dimension is coming off of the approximate grade. So
Okay.
that's only 6 feet, 9, 17. I can easily, make that adjustment, but to ensure to the board that we are below that building height.
Do you know what the attic height is? A better question?
Off the top of my head, I do not. If there's a certain number that you would like me to achieve, I can easily adjust the pitch to achieve that.
But I think the key point on the attic, again, we talked about is, and again, I'll be very, direct. I bothered to kind of listen to a lot of the things that, prior, applications have come before the board. I see that there's a lot of importance, and I may not know fully the reason why, just to be honest, but I know that there's a lot of, focus on the attic and use. I can guarantee you the attic is not meant to kind of be turned into anything where anybody's going to live or anything. So whatever the height is, if we have to put that as a condition, I'm happy with that, but it's not going to be turned into something else. Like, that was not, I took that away from listening to the board.
Are you willing to make that a condition of approval?
Oh,
That it
yes,
won't be habitable space?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm happy I listened and took that away.
Anybody else have any questions? Oh. Anybody in the public have any questions for this witness?
OB, would you like to present your exhibits?
No, I think it's fine, yeah.
We're good? I think we're good. Okay. Does anybody in the public want to make any statements? Does anybody on the board want to make any statements? Anybody on the board want to make a motion?
I'll do the motion to approve.
Seconded.
The motion to approve is with the condition of approval
With the
that
condition
there's
of
no
the attic.
habitable space in the attic.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Mr. Kenya, yes. Who was the second one? Mr. Horn. Mr. Horn? Approved. Okay. Mr. Sherman?
Yes?
Ms. Yan?
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
And Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Motion approves.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
So, so now that we're back at this has been, we've been doing a little ping pong tonight with board members coming on, board members going off.
Now, which application are you doing?
You're not, Ms. Sudol is not voting on anything else because we're at a full complement. Right. But you can participate.
Okay, block 3203, lot 28, 19 Balmoral Drive, application number 2024-76-3, John No and Jean Kim. Application seeks approval for the first and second floor addition in violation of the following section: 170-98C2, front yard setback 50 feet required, 48 feet proposed, 2 feet variance requested. 170-87 habitable floor area, 3520 square feet allowed, 3807 square feet proposed, 287 square feet variance requested. 170-87 CC3 habitable floor area ratio, 21% allowed, 25.3% proposed, 44.3% variance requested.
right, just for the record, do we have the applicant here tonight? Just have your name for the record.
Sure. My name is John No. First name John, last name No, Noh.
Okay. And so, Mr. No, you're going to be presenting your expert architect tonight, right?
Yeah, my architect will be presenting on my behalf.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, yeah, sure. Okay. Figure to get to it. All right. Okay. It's getting late, though. Okay. Do you swear, affirm, and tell the truth before the zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, Daniel Dubinet, D-A-N-I-A-L, last name Dubinet, D-U-B-I-N-E-T-T.
Okay. And Mr. Duvenet, if we can briefly have your qualifications on the record?
Yes, master's degree, NJIT, 1995. I got my license 2001. It's current and still in effect. Check my emails. And I've presented before this board and others in Essex County.
Does anyone on this board have any questions, objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as expert in architecture, and
Yeah, well, you know what, Mr. No, I'm not sure if you're going to provide any testimony, but let's just swear you in just in case. Do you swear for and tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay. All right, so, Mr. Duvenet?
Thank you so much. I actually told myself I was going to speak very slowly and clearly and go through the plans because normally I tend to speak very fast and kind of get right to the point. So in the effort of time, I'm going to talk really fast and explain the project as quick as I can. This is a very interesting application. We require two variances. One is for the front yard setback. 50 feet is required, 48 feet is proposed. It's a 2-foot violation. And the reason we need that is our front staircase, when you walk in the front door, you hit the front staircase and it's really steep. And we looked for other solutions, so the best solution we can come up with is let's pull the front of the house out 2 feet to allow some extra space. I'm sorry, I can't manipulate this too good. So this is the portion of the reason we need the front yard setback variance is to allow us to have a slightly bigger foyer. So we could have the door open up and we could increase the tread depth on the stairs, make them not so steep. And so we see there's a very little impact to that. So now we have two other variances as a result of this addition renovation to an existing home. And so I guess I'm jumping ahead, but what we want to do, and I'd like to show you our existing floor plan. So it's a very modest house. It's a bi-level. So what happens with a bi-level is the lower level, which is 7'7", counts as FAR. And all our living space is on the first floor, or up half a flight. So you enter in on a mid-level zone, and you either go down to the activities that are kind of commensurate with a basement, and you go up the stairs to the living level. And on the living levels, kitchen, dining room, and living room, and 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. And we have a very, very small garage at less than 10 feet wide. So part of the project is to expand the garage, to get a 2-car garage on the first floor, and expand the living level. And the living level's on our first floor. And we're basically asking for 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a powder room, and expand the first floor to accommodate sensitive. Here's our proposed second floor. And again, it's very modest in terms of what our ask is. We had 3 bedrooms and 1 bath. The Noes would like the primary bedroom suite. So we have the primary bedroom suite and 2 kids' bedrooms and a shared bath. And we would like a bigger kitchen, bigger dining area, and we didn't have a family room, so we'd like to add a family room. If you look at this addition renovation all by itself, it would not need the FA habitable floor area, But because the lower level counts and the basement counts, that puts us over. And so we're here tonight because we had two options. One is to build the addition on piers. So the entire first floor would be supported by piers, and that space underneath wouldn't count as FAR. And we looked at that, but we've already got the space underneath the deck that we're not using. So it would be kind of an unusable space, but yeah, we would need an FAR. So the ask is to build foundation walls around our proposed addition, and that brings our FAR up. So the hardship in this application is really architectural style. So having inherited a bi-level, if it was a ranch and we had a basement, basements don't count. Other ways to expand a bi-level might be to rip off the roof and add a second floor, and I've seen those, and they're three-story looking structures. So this seemed like the right way to expand the existing home and ask for a deviation for the FAR variances. We are asking for, so you have your habitable floor area ratio, which is 3,520 max allowed, and we're looking for 3,807. We're 287 square feet over what's allowed. Again, if I remove the basement or the lower level, we would not need the habitable floor area. The percentage, max allowed is 21%, proposed is 25.37. It's a violation of 4.3%. We got a 15,000 square foot lot, and 15,000 square feet is the requirement. But what makes this site and this project so special is the location. And I'm going to let the planner talk about why this location is so special and why we think that the site can handle the additional FAR and the massing. And I just want to show the board, if I may. I'm going to jump to I'm going to skip over our, well, this is some site context. I'm quite sure the planner will talk about it, but this is our subject property, 19 Balmora. And you see the adjacent home. I personally measured, so I have, after the project's complete, we'll have 37 feet from John's house to the neighbor's house, which is a lot of open air space. The neighbors who are adjacent in the back is over 150 feet away, and we have no neighbor to the right. And we're on the end of a dead-end street. These are renderings that my office did. So we took a Google Earth image, and we are portraying what the house would look like. And so we think that it fits in very well with the neighborhood and the streetscape, and that there would be no negative impact by allowing this, and that the massing, additional mass works, and the site can handle it. So we have two views I'd like to show you. Part of our project in renovation is to elevate the roof lines for aesthetic reasons only. And we would testify that we would not use the attic for future habitable space. We have a lot of vaulted ceilings on the first floor, so there'll be very small space left as a result of all our vaulted ceilings, but we would like to testify tonight that as a condition of hopeful approval, that we would not seek to put habitable space up in the attic. So again, I think it's an interesting case because I think the hardship is truly based on the architectural style that we inherited. Thank you.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for this witness?
Yeah, I do.
Please.
And I assume that you're not changing the height of that first, you're calling it basement floor, but that first level floor. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what is the height of that floor?
7 foot 7 inches. The lower level?
Yeah.
Yes, 7 foot 7, so that'll stay 7 foot 7.
Right, 7 foot 7 with, obviously, I'm saying obviously, but I just want to confirm, nothing is below that?
Nothing
floor.
below that.
Okay.
Yes. And since we're talking height, I forgot to mention that the overall height of our roof will be 28 feet 6 inches. So we feel good about the massing, again, about the height.
Jackie, do we have copies of these renderings? I don't see them.
No, I'd like to submit that as an exhibit and
Okay.
email Jackie.
So, let me just be clear. So you're talking about these superimposed renderings that were not part of the board's packet. Okay, so that's just this one page.
Part of this whole slide is 3 slides. The drawings you have, additional photographs I took, and then the renderings.
Okay, so those would all be new?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll call those A1, and we'll call it supplemental architectural. And you'll supply that to the board. If you can email that to Ms. Hollis, we would appreciate it.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions on the board? Please.
I have a question. You mentioned there are vaulted ceilings on the second floor. Could you approximately tell us, like, what rooms?
Yes, I would
those
like to
ceilings
show
will be?
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the bedroom, I would like to elevate the ceiling. So we have a tray ceiling in the master bedroom. Then in the family room, high ceiling. Kitchen, I like to usually do the kitchen ceiling around the perimeter at 8 and then push up the center of the ceiling to 10 feet. And the existing living room, we're planning on vaulting. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions on the board? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Okay, I think you're good. Next, witness?
Right. Yep. Also have with us planner, and he can introduce himself. He was on a previous case earlier.
Do you swear affirm and tell the truth before the zoning board tonight?
I do.
All right, and Doherty, you haven't received any emails since you last testified about 15 minutes
correct.
ago?
No
So you're still
emails.
qualified in the field of
Correct.
planning?
Yes, I
I
am.
think we can accept you.
Thank you. So again, Alex Doherty for the record, Doherty, professional planner. I did prepare an exhibit packet. Council will mark this A2, if I'm not mistaken.
You have handouts for that, or you?
No, I just have it digitally.
Okay.
I
And
have
you'll email
one.
that to?
Yep. I have one hard copy.
Probably should give that to Ms. Hollis.
So much like the prior exhibit that I showed the board, this one is similar context. It's maps, photographs. It's 15 slides. I'll breeze through those a little quickly as the architect testified. This is an application seeking relief by way of what we believe is a superior design, a better alternative than strict adherence. So we'll kind of go through that real briefly, but we are seeking a front yard setback for 2 feet. We have habitable floor area ratio where 21% is required. We're at 22.3%, so about 1.3% over, a slight uptick. With that, we have a habitable floor area where 3,520 square feet is allowed. We're at 3,807 square feet. So again, slight uptick. I'd like to tell the board we have that second means of control here, but unfortunately, we are asking for relief on that, and I think the board will see exactly why we're asking for that relief. Okay, just zoom in a little bit for you. So again, we are in the R3 zone. We're one tax lot, block 3203, lot 28. Very similar to the previous application's location. So here we are on a dead-end cul-de-sac. I'm going to butcher this. Balmore Drive, did I pronounce that right? Balmore Drive. At the very end of the street, we have a large open void, which is what this slide 2 is supposed to represent, the green space. We'll kind of go there just a minute. So tax lot here to show the board where we're at. Healthy, standard size neighborhood, 100 by 100 lots, pretty consistent with the neighborhood build out for the tax lot. Property in question, took the drone out there this past weekend, as I like to visit all my sites. Essentially what we're trying to avoid here is what's happening to the rear of our site with this house as we see it on stilts. So what the architect was testifying to is we believe we can certainly come into compliance, but that does come with a caveat, putting the addition on stilts. So we believe we have a better design alternative, superior design to that. So with that being said, the next couple slides really are going to reflect what's happening there. I want to point out to the board, we'll see some larger homes with 2-car garages. Again, not atypical of this neighborhood. These are larger lots, 100 by 100. Some of them have 2-car garage. Substantial positive investment coming into this in the neighborhood by way of additions and redevelopment. So you kind of see some older homes with the 1-car garage and a lot of the newer ones with the 2-car garage. So here we are spinning the drone around. We can see just how large that building is in the back, our neighbor, with the addition going up on stilts. Just kind of spinning the drone around. Here we are looking in the rear of the subject site, again, looking at this addition with the building on stilts. So one of the things I want to point out, so the architect testified to, is currently where it stands today, there's really no use underneath the deck. We don't want to add an addition here. We don't believe there's going to be functional use and enjoyment of the open space underneath. We like to enclose it in, add more living space. As we've heard, this property does not have a basement. By virtue of basement is not submerged underground by your definition. It is a story. It does count. So it's a unique architectural feat that we're trying to overcome by way of the older split levels and bi-levels not having that basement. So with that, enclosing that will give us more functionality of the home. So going down to the next couple slides, we'll see there's some larger homes and some mixed use homes here. Right around the corner from the site, we have a home that went extensive renovation. Very cool, interesting, certainly. We can kind of see we have that addition going up, if you will, fairly large home. Another one right up the street. Again, this is on Bowling Ave. And we see the more modest contemporary homes that the neighborhood historically has had. So a lot of investment coming in. Again, another 2-car garage here, another 2-car garage, a newer home, 2-car garage, a single. So we certainly do have different variety of housing types and designs and scales. Just a little further up the street, again, here's our neighbor to the rear with that addition on stilts. So just a few houses up, we can see another house similar to what we're proposing here with a 2-car garage in comparison to what the existing neighborhood looks like. So we kind of spin the drone around. This slide you'll see again along Baltimore Ave, a little further up. Some other houses with a 2-car garage, another one over here. Interesting enough, in the background here, you'll start to see there's a lot of construction happening in the neighborhood, new development coming online, poking through the trees there. So went ahead, took the drone out there. Here we have some new construction coming online, new housing types. Again, here's that 2-car garage, new housing happening online just up the street. It's on Martin Road, just a little outside that neighborhood footprint, but nonetheless, the neighborhood is fairly large for those that live back there. So here's the property in question. I took the drone a little higher to kind of show you the large void open space that we have adjacent to us. If you're looking at the property, it's off to the right. So really nothing off to the right to us, large open space. Very transformative neighborhood, a lot happening here. So we're seeking 3 variances. 2 of them are related to the FAR, slight uptick. That ratio, we're at 1.3% over what's required. And for the floor area by square footage, we're at 3807. 3520 is what's permitted. Again, we've heard design and testimony that this is really just encapsulating that negative space, that voided, making that usable space. Notably, with talking with the team, if we were to infill some dirt, from what I'm being told, I'm a planner, not an engineer, but if we were to backfill some dirt and get the grade up a little bit, we can maybe count that as that first floor as the basement, kind of skirt by the technical definitions. We believe that's a lot of extra work. We believe this is a superior design that the board can see what we see here. With that, the variances that we're seeking, the front yard setback is what we would call C2. The benefits as a whole outweigh any detriment here. We believe, given that we're the first house or the dead-end house, you know, it's not the middle of the street where we're sticking out or we're super recessed back. We don't believe there's going to be any visual void and detriment from that regards, and not continuing that line. 2 feet, in my professional opinion, the naked eye is really not going to pick that up compared to the rest of the neighborhood. I don't see that as a substantial detriment here. Also with the FAR, the case law on that is really, can the site accommodate the additional floor area? This is a unique application. We're not creating any bedrooms. The bedrooms that are there, we're just enhancing them, but we're not adding additional bedrooms. But what we are adding is an additional garage space. So by virtue of the site accommodating that additional FAR, again, we have large open space to our right. We're adding a second car garage. The bedroom count remains. We're just making more functional, usable functional space with this addition. With that being said, we are vaulting some ceilings on that second floor to really help. There's no dormers coming out in that regard, so there's no real habitable space to the attic. We have that house on grade. So with that, to confirm to the board, I believe this application advances many purposes of the municipal land use law, particularly purpose I, a desirable visual environment. I don't believe it's all that desirable for the town to have buildings on stilts. It might become an issue down the road. With that being said, I don't believe any of the purposes and the intent of the zone plan have been undermined. I certainly do believe we advanced two of the primary goals of the master plan for improving quality of life and enhancing the residential character of the community. I do not see any detriment here with this application. Again, case law is, can the site accommodate that? And I believe we certainly can by lack of having bedrooms and the increase in the parking and drive. So with that, I'll conclude. Many benefits to the application, particularly purpose I, most notably, with little to no detriments for the board. I'll conclude with that. Approval would be warranted.
Thank you. Anybody on the board have any comments, questions rather, for this witness?
I have a question.
Please.
Hi, can you just clarify? I just want to make sure that these numbers are correct. So on the plans, you have the habitable floor ratio at 25.3%, and I think you said a different number when you were speaking, because you said it was 1.3% over.
I do apologize.
Okay.
You're correct. I wrote down the notes on the old version. So we're at 25.3%.
Okay, just what?
Slight uptick. I do apologize.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Okay, thank you.
I said in the wrong file.
Anybody else have any questions for this witness? Anybody in the audience, the public have any questions? Can we call it the audience? I don't know. Anybody in the public want to make any statements? Anybody on the board want to make any statements?
I just want to say,
Yes.
Thank you, right? I think bi-levels are difficult to make those modifications. I think to your point, we see some that, you know, go up and up and up to the sky. And so I think what you've done hopefully accommodates your family, but I think visually was a well tweaked to a difficult job to work with. So thank you.
I'd also like to just add that, you know, also the fact that you don't have a basement, you know, bi-levels are hard just for that reason alone. And yes, it could have been another 1,000 whatever square foot more, just a basement. So just wanted to point that out.
Just want to add one more thing. I concur with what my colleague said, but I would like to commend you on the roof height of 28.2. I think that the neighbors will appreciate that, and it's not always necessary to go to 35 feet just because that's where you can go. So I appreciate that, and I do think that the design is beautiful for the neighborhood, and thank you.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Horn,
Approved.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Kenya, yes. Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman,
Yes.
Ms. Khan,
Yes.
and Mr. Beer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I think that's a wrap. Motion to adjourn? Anybody?
Yeah, motion.
Okay.
Seeing the
Yeah, yeah, okay, all in favor, aye.